Hello guys, and welcome to my first video on polynomials. Today we look at how we can divide polynomials, and this is sort of just a lesson on the basics of polynomials. So first of all we need to define the term. So a polynomial is a function with many terms, okay? Much like a polygon is a shape with many sides, poly meaning many, okay? So there's some key points for the lesson that we're going to need to know, some definitions, okay? The first one is order or degree. Now this is the highest power of the function. So if we look at this example, then the degree or order is 3. That's the highest power here. And it's the same for this question. The second term is divisor. This is the thing you're dividing by. So in this question it says divide x cubed plus 3x squared minus 5x plus 2 by x plus 2. So x plus 2 is our divisor here. The third thing we need to know is called the quotient. This is the bit you get when you divide by the divisor, not including the remainder. So it's the answer you get without the remainder. So I'll show you exactly what that is when we go through these two examples, okay? The last thing is the remainder, which we all should know. It's the bit left over after a division, okay? So there's two methods that you can use when dividing polynomials. One's called the synthetic method, which is a lot like long division, okay? But the method I'm going through is called the box method, because I think this is a lot more simple and definitely more quick than the other method, in my opinion. So if you don't understand this method after a few tries, then you might want to have a look at the other one just to see if that's better for you. Either method works and you're awarded full marks for either method. So I'm going to just go through this method, okay? So with the box method, we look at what we're dividing by and we write each term in this way. Okay? We write the x here and the 2 here on the right of each row of the box. Now, the box will always have 2 rows and 3 columns, okay? That's the way it is when the exam question is given to you, okay? That's the way you should draw it out, because you're going to get a quadratic. I'll show you exactly what I mean here, okay? So, we write in the top left box this term from the question, the x cubed, the first term. So we write above that what multiplies by the row, the x, to give us this. Well, something multiplied by x is x cubed. That's going to be x squared, okay? X squared multiplied by x gives us x cubed. Now we look at this box. X squared multiplied by 2 gives us what's in here. So x squared multiplied by 2, 2x squared. The next thing we do is we have to look back at the question. We have 3x squared here and we have a 2x squared here. So what do we add to 2x squared to give us 3x squared? Well, that's just going to be 1x squared, isn't it? Just x squared. 1x squared add 2x squared gives us 3x squared. Now, what multiplies by x to give us x squared? Hopefully we all know that's just x. X multiplied by x is x squared. Next thing, once again repeating what we did here, x multiplied by 2 gives us what's in this quadrant. 2 multiplied by x is 2x. And again we look back at the question. Here we have minus 5x, okay? But here we have 2x. So how do we get to minus 5x from 2x? We minus 7x. Now what multiplies by x to give us minus 7x? Well, that's minus 7. Minus 7 multiplied by x gives us minus 7x. Now, in this box, we have minus 7 multiplied by 2. That's minus 14. So how do we pick out an answer from what we've just done? Well, it's quite simple. The quotient, the bit you get when you divide by the divisor, the answer, is on the top. It's the x squared plus x minus 7. This is our answer. However, in this case we will have a remainder, and in an exam question it will ask for the remainder if there is one. So, the remainder is what we do to this to get back to the number here. Here we have a plus 2. Here we have a minus 14. Well, to get to plus 2 from minus 14, we add 16. So, the answer overall is x squared plus x minus 7. And our remainder is 16. Minus 14 plus 16 gets us to the plus 2. So there's our answer, guys. X squared plus x minus 7 with remainder 16. That's a very basic example, and now we're going to go through a question that I've taken from a January 2013 past paper from AQA. And the question is almost set out exactly like this. If you want to have a look yourself, you can do on the AQA website, but this is pretty much what you're given. P of x equals x cubed minus 4x squared minus 3x plus 18, and x minus 3 is a factor of this. Express P of x as a product of its linear factors. Now actually what it's asking us to do is pretty much the same as here, although it's worded very differently, and you will need to get used to this style of wording in questions. So what this means is, express it as a product of its linear factors. It's telling us to factorise this into what multiplies together to give us this. And it's telling us already that x minus 3 is one factor of this. So what we can write out, and it's always a good step to do this, is x minus 3, and you will get a mark for this, multiplied by ax squared plus bx plus c equals x cubed minus 4x squared minus 3x plus 18. Okay? Now an exam question might give you this in this form and tell you to work out the values of a, b and c. However, if it doesn't do that, it's always worth writing it in that form. Because we can see now what we're doing. We're multiplying x minus 3 by ax squared plus bx plus c to give us this. So what we're having to do is divide this by this to give us this. So, once again we draw out the box. And we're trying to get to this. So here, we're going to have x squared multiplied by x gives us x cubed. If you want to have a go at this yourself, like we did here, just to see if you understand what's going on, you can do. Pause the video and have a go. Minus 3 multiplied by x squared is minus 3x squared. Looking back at the question, we need to get to minus 4x squared. So we minus x squared from this. Here we're going to have minus x. Multiplied by x is minus x squared. Minus multiplied by minus gives us positive 3x. Looking back at the question, we need to get to minus 3x from positive 3x, so we minus 6x. What multiplies by x to give us minus 6? X, that's minus 6. Minus 6 multiplied by minus 3 gives us positive 18. Now we're not interested in remainders because we're not going to get any here. Okay, as you can see, the 18 is the same as what we have here anyway, so we don't have a remainder. We're looking for the factors. So we know the quotient is our answer here. The x squared minus x minus 6. So we can now rewrite this as x minus 3 multiplied by, now our value of a is x squared, is 1. Okay, a is 1. Minus 1x, so the value of b is 1. And the value of c is minus 6. And that will be equal to this. I can't fit it on here, so we just know that this is equal to this. So that's a product of one linear factor. And the next thing to do is to then factorise this down again, so that we have 3 brackets and we can see what all the linear factors are. So x minus 3 multiplied by, now we need to factorise this into 2 brackets, because we're going to have 3 brackets, it's a cubic equation, so we need to expect that. So straight away I can see that 3 and 2 will make minus 1. So we need a minus 3 and a positive 2. Okay, x squared minus 6 minus 3x plus 2x is minus x. They're our linear factors. So we've now expressed this in the form of 3 linear factors, of all its linear factors. So that's p of x. And that's the answer, okay? So if we see a question like this, all it's asking us to do is divide this by our factor to give it in the form x squared, and then all we need to do is factorise the quadratic we have to give us 2 brackets. Then we can see that the factors are going to be x is 3, and x is minus 2. So there we go, guys. That's the first lesson on dividing polynomials. Again, I do apologise if this is a bit like an English lesson with all the definitions, but we need to know this just in case we're given these terms in an exam. So thanks a lot for bearing with me. In lesson 2, we'll be going through how we can use polynomials in different ways to what we have here and answering exam-style questions. So if you have any comments, please put one below. And if you like the video, please subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in lesson 2.